distinguish between the types is how many rivets are on the cars. And what they did with the rivets is they left off rivets so that they could stamp the graphics on there. So the first one that they did was, obviously this is the first one they made, is the Western Pacific, and it's a Type 1.
And that was 1953?
53, yes.
Wow.
So, so I have lots of them. I didn't bring all the variations I have of each one. I just sort of brought just some of them because there's just too many of them. So this is the first one they made, and it usually came. The most standard one is the silver with blue lettering. So I'm just going to lay them on. If you guys want to look at them, that's fine. And then the one of the rare ones starts
Try
right
not
from the
to
beginning.
touch the silver.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's what the value.
One of the rarest ones is the red letters. Instead of using blue, the most common is blue, but they made a few red letter ones. So this is the red letter one.
It was part of a catalog set.
Yeah, they didn't make very many of them, and I don't know why they made this one red versus the blue. So, but this is one of the rare ones. And then I have another one on the Type 1. Now this one has ribs in the roof. So all the beginning boxcars, they were all smooth inside, except for one reason. On the Western Pacific, it has roof ribs. I don't know whether they were experimenting with the molds or whatever. But this one has
You ran your finger in
Oh,
the
the external
center.
ones are
internal.
Internal.
It's
Okay.
got ribs in there.
Okay.
It's not smooth like all the rest of them. Like on the later models, Type 4s, they had ribs because they made the plastic lighter.
Okay.
But for some reason on this one, they have this one's. But this was the only one, the early one that has
I
that.
think they did it for reinforcement.
I have no idea what they were doing. If we knew, we would be.
So that's the one that was written.
So the next one up is the next one up is the Northern Pacific. This would be 6464-25. The first one, that's number 1. So the next one would be 25. So I have 3 examples of this one. So basically the common one is this is a common one. It's sort of shiny orange, and it's a clear mold. So the mold has a lot to do with it too. And I like collecting the ones with the different color molds, because sometimes the molds are, when it gets into the later ones, the molds change, which makes it somewhat rare. So this is just basically orange paint on a clear mold. And then we have a different one, which is clear mold with flat paint. The orange is flat instead of shiny. And then we have one that is obviously a white mold, because you can see that it's chipping. So for some reason they have a white mold, and it's got sort of glossy paint. It's not glossy because it's old, but it's got a white mold.
Is it because they've got better price on the plastic color?
I have no idea.
That's what I would think.
Well, yeah, it's when they made this stuff, they took these pellets and they poured it in the machine, and it was whatever color they had.
Yeah.
But at the beginning of a lot of the runs, they were making things like, when they started making the F3 units, they had clear models so that the salespeople could sell them, you could see the motor inside. So they probably had a bunch of those around the factory, and they just were using them up. So it was whatever was available.
Yeah, in some of the later ones, like one of the ones I have the Boston, Maine, which is a blue one. I have one on a yellow mold, painted blue. So most of those they were just blue plastic, and they just stamped it. But some of them they painted. So a rare one of that would be yellow mold, and basically it was probably some other Timken or something that they threw back in the pot and just painted it for the blue one. So this one would be number 50, 6450, Minneapolis, St. Louis. Most of these came in clear molds, but this one happens to be, it's sort of not white, it's sort of like almost a powder blue mold. You can kind of see it through this one, for instance, you don't really see that much. It's got, the car is actually really nice shape, except for it's got like chips. So that's how I knew that it was a white mold versus a clear mold.
Now, there's a prototype that was in the factory archives that was dark green.
Yes, but that's probably super rare. That was probably some
You know,
prototype.
there may be 6 of those probably in existence. But that's why sometimes you see a modern reproduction in dark green, because, you know, they're trying to replicate that particular one.
The orange.
Yeah, these are all type 1s. We haven't gotten any other types. All these ones were passed around as type 1 rivets. So this one's actually a really, really rare one, and I've only ever seen one other on this one. So basically, it's just your common Minneapolis St. Louis, except it's got copper primer. For some reason, they put copper primer on it.
How can
And
you tell?
well, you can tell because you can see it right there.
We got a deal down at Ace Hardware that day.
Yeah, so for some reason they primered this copper, and it's a pre-rare, and I've never seen any other ones. And I was looking at on eBay, and I was looking at it, and I think I paid like $200 for it. This is like probably a $2,000 car.
Did he know what he had?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because when I got it, I was looking at the pictures, and I saw like that little chip there, and it looked like copper. So that one's actually a pretty rare one right there. So, okay, so the next one,
There's a dot on the top where the copper.
yeah, you can see it. You can see there's some chips, and you know, a lot of times I'll take them apart and look at the inside. So the next one would be the 75, the 6460 for 75. Now this one actually, this one started out, the type 1 was basically just painted green. This is a clear mold. You can see because it's paint scraped off. And it's sort of yellow stamping. That's a type 1. But then they also made it towards the end of the run of 6464 boxcars. So this is actually a type 4 mold, the last mold. And as you can see, most of them came like this with sort of goldish lettering. But this one, I like this one pretty cool, because this one has, something happened when they were stamping it, and it hardly got any stamping on it. So this side's like perfect, but this side is, you can hardly see the stamping.
Yeah.
Whether the ink was, this was a heat stamped, so it actually stamped it with the machine instead of like rubber stamp. So I guess sometimes the heat, the thing was running out of stamping, and they just stamped it. So that was a pretty cool one, right there. So that would be, what was that? That's 75. So the next one would be, Will's favorite, and sorry he's not here, is the Western Pacific. Now we're starting to get into, other than that green one. So the green one, the type 4 mold, that they ran them again later on after the molds changed. So on this one, we're actually starting getting into the type 2 mold. And basically what the type 2 mold means is they took out this row of rivets so that they can stamp this Rise Like a Feather. So instead of the rivets being there, because I guess they couldn't figure it out. So this is actually a type 2. So what a type 2 means is they took out this, basically they took out this row of rivets. But I have one that's sort of kind of rare here, that is a Western Pacific stamped on a type 1. So they stamped over, the rivets are still there. So they must have had some type 1 bodies left over, and they were stamping it, and some of them got put in there. But usually you don't see them like this, because it's hard to stamp it with that row, that type row, see?
Yeah, went over it all right.
Yeah, it did though, it did. So there's a type 1 in the Western Pacific. And then here's another one where the yellow. Now I have probably this one, I probably have like 8 of these, and they're all different. The yellow colors, the color of the yellow's different, the intensity of the stamp's different, but I didn't bring them all. But I like to find the variations that are slightly different. And then I have some with the type 1 with the yellow's a different color yellow. So if you put these together, you can see that some of the yellow's more yellow and some of the yellow's more orange. And then this one doesn't have much yellow at all.
And then there's a really, really famous one. There's probably the only one in existence, and it has a blue feather.
That would be this one.
No.
Oh, like that, oh, yeah, a
Silver.
big blue feather, yes, a big blue feather. But there's like, those are like, there's probably like maybe one or two of those, and you don't really see them around, so you're not, and if you're gonna buy one, you're gonna pay like thousands and thousands of dollars. Most of my, I haven't paid like a ton of money for these, but the 64 cars that I don't have are like $10,000 and $8,000 and even more. So this is also a 100. They kept this the same number on this, but it's the orange. And it basically says, it says 64 100 there, and it's got the little blue feather. So the difference between these two, and these are more, the yellow ones are like $100 a car, but these are more like $700 a car. And the difference between these two is the letter's fatter. This has skinny. The stamping is the stamping is fatter on this one than this one. So
You don't have a brake wheel on one. Oh, there it is. Okay.
so the stamping is
I
fatter.
got one of them.
And there's not many variations of these. I only have 2 of these. There's basically, I don't think there's very many more of these. Some of them, there's some of them I don't have very many at all.
Wow.
Okay, so that's the, then we go up to this one here. What is that? Oh, the Rock Island. Now, Rock Island mostly comes silver with blue letters. But then there's another one that's fairly rare, is black letters. Not many of these made. Most of them are blue, but there's some that, I don't know how many there are. I mean, somebody might have.
You didn't tell them about the one with 1954.
Oh yeah, there's the probably the most expensive of the 6460 Barks cars is that one, but instead of it saying 64 100, it says 1954.
It's printed, it's dated.
And I've seen one, and I've touched one.
Was it a TCA memorable?
Yeah, it was
Was it a
Adair Roberts.
Adair Roberts. When I was over at his house once.
This car with 1954 on it, wasn't that the one?
It
that
sold for like one sold for like
$73,000?
$20,000.
No, but it was the one that went for 73,000.
Yes, that's it. That one.
Yeah.
I don't know how many there are, but
$73,000.
that wasn't Adair's. That was a different one.
Did they check the sanity of the guy that bought it?
Well,
You don't have to be saying.
that's it, Mike.
Are you afraid that it wasn't a reproduction?
You just have to have $73,000.
No, I don't think you
Are
can
you
tell.
gonna show them any Rutlands?
No, I didn't get that far.
Okay, well, Mike and I were looking at a Rutland back in York,
Eastern
and the guy wanted $7,000, and we both thought it was a good deal.
It was a good deal, but I didn't have $7,000. What's a Rutland? A Rutland is it's green and yellow. But I didn't get the Rutland. That would be on the next.
I'll show you a Rutland. I'll get you a Rutland. So I'm running it on the way.
Yeah, he has one up there. So the next.
$1,000 one?
Yes, but a Revo.
So the next ones are the
$6,000.
pacemaker. And this one I have quite a few of these. There's lots of different ones. There's difference in, now these are also type 2s. Because that's one of the reasons to take the stripes out of there, so that the rivets, so they can put the New York Central in there. So some of these are rubber stamped, this is a rubber stamped one. Because it's you can tell that you can feel it and see that it's not, like, the plastic's not tempered. So that's a rubber stamped one.
This is a Rutland.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah,
the
that's
thing
right.
that makes it rare is a solid shield up here instead of an outline. See how this, part of this is a dark green?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a solid shield Rutland, but that's a new one.
That's a reproduction that Lionel made.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like a $20,000 car.
Yeah,
if you
it's
have a
very
real one.
expensive. You can get them scratched up for probably a couple $1,000.
This is a reproduction of one of these Western Pacifics. You can see next to them how the lettering is different, and you can see that the color is quite different too. But
Yeah.
these are, well, if I pass these around, maybe you could switch them out with some of Mike's.
Presto
thi-
changeo.
So so in this series, this one is a pacemaker, but it's heat stamped. So if you look at the lettering, it's a little bit more crisp, and it's stamped with the machine that heats it they have a film of white in the machine, sort of like a typewriter, an old typewriter. But also in this series, they started changing the doors. So instead of the door having only one block on it, like all these had, they have a door with 3 blocks on it. And the reason why they did that is because when they started getting the central of Maine, they would put the central of Maine on here. They stamped letters on here. So they started, but these were sort of mished them up when they started making them. So they all didn't make all these and all these. They sort of printed them back and forth. So this one this was the same as that, except it has a 3 blocks on the door. They call it a 3-block door instead of a single block door. And then this one is kind of a sort of a rarer one, because on all those cars prior it's red plastic painted gray, but this guy is a white mold painted both red and gray. So that makes it a little bit more unique. And see, then it's also got it also has a rare door, which is a white door painted red instead of a red plastic door. So I have these in all different variations. I have them painted white with the plastic door. I have them painted white with the white door with painted red too. I have them with heat stamping, with rubber stamping. There's so many, if you collect it, there's so many different variations, and it's just slight little different things that make them different from one another. Even though,
like a double stamping.
yeah, that's I
Yeah.
brought that one on that
That's an
purpose
error.
too. See, that's very similar to the rest, except if you look at it, it looks like it's double stamped. That's why I brought that one. I have quite a few of those where it's like double stamped. It's like the machine hit it twice.
Never seen
Yeah, I have a lot of
That's
different
called a
ones.
factory error. Now, if that was a penny, it'd be nice.
So, and then finally, the last series I brought today, and this one, these ones, and I don't know if you want to pass them all around, or maybe I could just lay them out, and then you can see them better next to each other. Of this one, is, of all the boxcars I have,
That's crazy.
I have more of these, I have more of this type than any of them. So I'm just gonna lay them on here, because then you guys can come and look, and this will be the last one we're gonna talk about. It's the 150 Missouri Pacific. And this one I have more of this type than any of the other ones.
I know, I was so proud. I got one with, I don't know, the gray door or something. I was showing and it was like no big deal. I got 20 of those.
So these ones are interesting because the doors are different colors. The color is different colors. See how the blue's different? I mean, so most of these were blue plastic painted gray. But then I have some that are white painted both gray and blue. And then the other thing about it is the doors are all different colors. Like, see, that has a 3-block door that's sort of orangish, and that one's sort of yellow. And then then here's another one that the yellow is it's yellow, it's not orange.
And it gets tricky because sometimes, these have been out there so long, you got reproductions on there. So you have to have documented examples to sort of validate what the variation is.
So this one is similar, except it's got
a stripe.
a stripe on the door. And then the other thing that's different about these is the eagle's different. There's a 5/8 eagle, a 3/4 eagle, and a 1-inch eagle. The size of the eagle printing. And when you come up here, you can see. And then there's also like really subtle differences that you don't see unless you look at them.
Side by side.
And I can show you that
Can't see
when
the
we
difference
get.
in the eagle printing even.
Yeah, I haven't gotten deeper.
Oh, good.
There'll see that.
Neat.
So then we have another one with the different color door.
Wow.
See, like for instance, on this one here, see on this one here it says built by Lionel, but on this one here it says new 354. So they moved around, and then like on this one here it says, this one, that's not a good one here. It says XME, but this one here doesn't have an XME. So some of them are just the variations are just
Does
like
Greenberg
that.
document these variations like this?
Yes, I'll tell you where you want to go look at that. Now here we go. See, now the eagle's getting bigger. See the eagle? The E's way bigger than that one.
Oh, yeah.
You can tell that it's obviously it's
yeah.
way bigger.
Big E.
And then another difference between these is on this particular car, this is the only car they did it on, between the gray and the blue paint, like this guy right here, there's a groove in there. You can feel the groove, that they made a groove to try to distinguish between the paint. But this one has no groove. So some of them have a groove, some of them don't have a groove. They might be exactly the same car, and exactly all the graphics are exactly the same, except one has a groove and one doesn't have a groove. So why they did the groove on this particular car, and then this also in this car, this is when they started going to the 2A. Actually, no, the 2A was this one, but it's a 2B, and the rivets are exactly the same, except if you look on the roof, you'll see the outline where the hatch was on the ice car, right? They also made an ice car for the ice machine that threw the ice cubes out. And the mold is exactly the same, except when they plugged the ice hatch to make the plastic body, you can see the outline on the roof of the 2B. So the rivets are the same, except the only difference between 2A and 2B is the ice hatch. And if I'll find one that has that on here, but I need my glasses to do that because I can't see it. It's very faint. So let's see. Let me see if I can find one of those here. See, and someone like on this one here, see, like on this car here, the paint's kind of glossy, but on that one it's kind of flat. And then you'll notice that the blue plastic is a little different shades.
Are the trucks all the same, or are they bar end? Or?
Yeah, these are all bar end trucks. They haven't gone to the new trucks yet. That would be, and
Where they got kind of wacky though is when they, in the latter production in the 60s, they came up with all kinds of things. There was stuff around the warehouse, and then they made all kinds of crazy combinations with different trucks, plastic trucks instead of.
yes, it had paint running on it. So I like finding ones like that. I actually have one of these at home that I didn't bring, where the gray paint's so heavy that it's got runs. So of all these, there's one of these that's super rare. Now I'm going to let you guys look at them and see if you can figure out which one is the rarest one of all these cars. So I'll just kind of get out of the way. I'll start wrapping those guys up, and you guys can come up and look at these. But if you look at them, you'll just see that these are all type 2, except the 2A ones where the ice hatch is. See this? You can see the outline of the ice hatch right there.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a 2B. So the rivets are the same, except see there's another ice hatch one. So this one, but see this one actually is pretty cool too, is they never stamped it with the white. See how this one has white lettering? This one has no white lettering. And I like finding those too. I have quite a few, I have some in later models that have just black stamping. Or they missed the whole one side. There's no stamping on one side at all.
Is there an impression there, or is just no stamping at all?
No, they
none
totally
at all.
missed it. It went through and it never got stamped white. Because what they do is it's blue plastic. They paint the gray, they stamp the black, and then they stamp the white. But it never got stamped.
If you ever visited the factory, you could see how that could happen. There was a consistent process that they went through, and the guy that was sitting there with the rubber stamp machine would take the car and put it down and ka-chunk. And if he forgot to stamp, to turn it over and passed it on,
Yeah.
I mean, you get distracted, you gotta go to the restroom, whatever interrupts your day, you know?
Friday before quitting time.
Yeah. Somebody's falling.
Like the jam plant.
Yeah. Mustangs.
So the next time I'll bring,
After the hangover.
you know, in a
Another
few years,
section.
I'll bring another section, because I just can't bring them all. There's just way too many. We
Bangor,
could
Maine.
Bangor and Maine, yeah, that's got a lot of variations too. So this one here is, I probably have the most variations in this car, and then the other one I have is the blue Boston and Maine, and that's one of my favorites because basically there are so many color variations, and it's mostly all plastic. The plastic, the color looks like this one's a little bit, so you can see lighter, darker. You know, some of the plastic's purple, some of it's more royal blue. Like this is a completely different color here. It's almost purpley looking.
There's too many
And
variations.
then let's see,
to
one of
make
these is
thick.
painted. Which one is the painted one? This one's painted. So this one's actually painted both blue. It's a white mold, painted blue and gray. So I like the ones with the different color molds.
I don't really know which one is the most, but I would guess that anything that had a gray mold would be the rarest.
No. The rarest one, and I've looked for this for a long time, all of these have the Missouri Pacific in the second panel. The rarest one is first panel. And I looked a long time till I found one of these. And I tried to bargain it down at York, and finally I had to pay, I don't remember how much I paid for it. It wasn't like probably
Retail.
close to $1,000 to get the first panel. I've seen them on the internet go up to like, you know, $2,000. But you don't usually see these on eBay.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah,
So that's the rare one.
that's the rare one with the logo and the first panel.
I'll remember that York. First.
You don't
No,
see
no,
them.
you won't.
You'll
see
never
so
see
many.
one.
Yeah, yeah,
You get
It's hard to
mesmerized.
see.
you do.
But you have to sort of know what you're looking at.
Yeah, I mean, after all, you look at colors against colors. So you go up there. Is that a light blue or a dark blue?
Well, see,
You look
that's
at the single
that's
one.
how it's hard when you start getting in the color variations. It's hard to find
Yeah.
one because you're out there looking and you're like, do I have that or not?
You need some kind of technical device to
Yeah,
get your blues and your
right.
oranges.
What brought about the big interest in the 64, 64?
It was a box.
There were a lot of them.
Yeah. They made 29 road names.
It's an illness.
So if you
Yeah.
take all the road names
Used to
and all the
stamps, it was
things,
an
there
illness.
was 29 of them.
Yeah.
But I probably have like 200 of them.
That's the question.
You've got all this memorized.
Because it's there.
No.
Yeah.
But you,
I had to refresh my memory here because I
Okay,
haven't
70
been
stamp
doing much
albums,
with
I think.
these.
Yeah, Chicago
Auction them off
Northwest.
to my daughter to buy.
There's no Chicago Northwest.
there's no show.
No.
There's one they don't have.
Yeah, well, they have some prototypes. Actually, if you wanna learn more about them, you can find these at the shows. The older Greenberg books, they have. It's really cool because they have everything. That page was printed out of here. Did you ever meet Weber, John Weber, the guy who did all this? I know. Is he still around? He's the one who.
Did you get that from me? Because
I have several of these.
I put one of those.
Oh,
out
Charles
as a
Webster,
freebie at
Dr.
the Cal
Charles
Stewart.
Webster, he's the one who wrote about this. And he's the one who did the research. So basically it goes through here and it has lists.
That's not an Ambrose?
No, this is a Greenberg's. It's an early
No, no, I know,
Greenberg.
but it's Ambrose is not the author of that one?
No, this is, I don't think so.
I have that one. That is a good one. for
Yeah, you can
boxcars.
buy these. I think I paid, this was 99 cents. But
He's a doctor, did he get his PhD from?
I have no idea what he was
From
talking about.
Lionel doing?
But it goes through and it gives you lists. They must have spent hours documenting lists of all the variations for
No,
all
but
of them.
Bruce Greenberg got his doctorate from
And
Princeton.
these are it has a list
This
of
guy,
all the different colors.
Charles Weber, Dr. Charles Weber.
Yeah, but Greenberg is a publisher.
And then there's
You got it from
the ones, the
That's what it's called,
prototypes. It has
Greenberg's
pictures of the
Space Guy.
prototypes. that you'll never ever see, ever, unless you go to somebody's house. So these are prototypes that were never produced of the box cars, and there's probably maybe only one of these, but the old books have all this. And who knows? I mean, I've seen some of these for sale at York, but they want like
10,000.
thousands and thousands of dollars, more than I want to spend. So, but it's pretty cool.
They're making an addition to their house.
So probably the other than the variations in the stampings and the moldings, one that I would like to get that I don't have is a solid shield Rutland. Mark showed you one, and see, instead of the shield is yellow with printing in it, on the solid shield, that shield's green, solid green. And that thing can be worth up to, and we saw one in York
And
years ago.
the thing that's even more distinctive than
Yes.
that is it's a high gloss.
Yeah, it's really shiny. It's like, it's so shiny
Jumps at you.
that it looks fake. It's
Yeah.
really, really shiny, and that's the only car that they made that's really shiny. And another one that I would like to get that I don't have, and you don't see them very much, is the Central of Georgia.
I love that
It's
one.
maroon, but they've made some where the maroon is red.
And I've got that car running on the way.
Yeah, it's red, and that's really, I think it just looks really cool, that being red instead of maroon. But I'll bring some of these, the next time I'll bring a next batch,
All right.
because there's just too many. I have them all on the shelves, but I don't have enough room on my shelf, so I was looking in the drawers, and I found stuff in the drawers that I haven't seen for,
We have these nice aluminum
Yeah.
shelves.
yeah.
Well, you show me.
So this is a good book. If you're interested in any old postwar stuff, these old Greenberg books have a lot of details in it, and they go into details about the variations. Other than the newer books, it just basically show you just the general
Yeah.
stuff.
I was giving those books away
Yeah.
at the Cal Stewart.
Yeah, you can find these, when you go to train shows, you can find these for sale. Just you guys who are selling books, they'll sell them.
What edition is it? Just
I don't know.
no edition?
I have older ones than this.
It's about an 83 or so.
Yeah, I don't know, when was this one? Does it say? 1979.
Okay.
Did you ever meet Charles Weber?
No.
I don't even know if he's still around, but he's the one.
Oh yeah, Dr. Weber.
Yes, Dr.
Yeah,
Weber.
yeah. He was a professor at in Philadelphia at what's the university?
University of Pennsylvania?
Temple, Penn.
I think it was the University of Pennsylvania.
No, that's in Pennsylvania.
That's
Well,
right.
he was in
Penn
Philadelphia
State.
anyway.
Philadelphia's in
think Philadelphia
Pennsylvania, last
is?
time I
Yeah.
Oh,
checked.
that could have been, that could have been Drexel.
Yeah, see,
Drexel's,
he was in the science department, and they had a what do you call it, a spectrometer or whatever, and
Oh yeah,
he
they
would
would
take a lot of the things in that were questionable that TCA had questions about, and he would put it under the thing and date it and verify that it was original.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever meet him?
Yeah, I did. I forgot about Charlie.
Yeah.
He was on the board the last 3 years before he died. Yeah. No, I knew Charlie Weber. Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, that was before my time. So.
He,
But
I
his-
really liked him because he always, Atlantic Division put out a really cool newsletter, one of the best division newsletters, and he was the editor of it, and he always sent me a copy of it out here on the
That's
West
neat.
Coast. You know, he always thought of me, so how could I forget it?
This is great. It's almost overwhelming. It's
It
great.
is. It is. I was like, I've been thinking when Will's been bugging me to come and talk about this, and he's not even here. He was really
Oh, he's
upset.
going crazy.
He's there on camera, you can wave at him.
He's and some of the later ones I have are more rare than any one I have here. I have some at home that not necessarily they're rare because they cost a lot of money. They're rare because there's not a lot of them and you don't really see them. Like the solid shield Rutland is, there's quite a few of them around. I've probably seen 10 different ones. Where like the copper primer one, that's the only one I've ever seen. So, and like this one, I've seen maybe 2 or 3 of that. So whether there's not as many, I don't know. But I don't know why Or Rutland would sell for $8,000 and this one sell for, I think I paid $800 for that one. So why the difference is, I don't know. I guess people want,
Buyer beware.
yeah, I don't know.
Who knows? Make a price?
Thanks, Michael.
You're welcome.
Thank
And,
you.
uh,